speaker is Michelle Scherzer.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. I'm here tonight to tell you a tale of two boards. Currently, our daughter Danielle, who would be scared out of her mind to sit beside me tonight, she's 9 years old and she's in grade 4 and she has dyslexia. She attends a junior communications class at the Peel board, which she loves. There's 8 students in her class. They get instruction in Empower every morning by their teacher. The students in this class are supported by SLP, OT, psych, special ed, and other resources such as a therapy dog, her favorite, and of course assistive technology. She hopes to stay at this school until the end of next year, grade 5, which is the highest grade at this school, and after that, we don't know what happens. That's the next phase of research and discussion that I, as her mom and her dad, have started to initiate. All parents in this room know that that's something we get really good at. I want to know the path to grade 8, and then I want to know the path to grade 12. And I'd like to think that the path would be consistent across all Ontario school boards, but I already know that that's not going to be the case. The Peel experience for us has been a school board that honors and upholds the right to read for our daughter. Our younger daughter attends grade 1 at the French Immersion School, where Danielle started school, our home board. You may wonder why Danielle isn't there too, and it breaks my heart that the sisters aren't together, but here's why. Danielle went through JK in English at our local public school with no concerns flagged by the school. In SK, we did what most parents in our neighborhood did. We enrolled Danielle in French immersion. Maybe her funny printing and letter reversals were connected to being left-handed, or the fact that she missed a bit of school for 3 years in a row due to ear infections and getting tubes, both of which I now know are correlated with dyslexia. But the school had no concerns. I, however, was not convinced. My spider senses were going off, so we did a private psycho-ed assessment at the end of SK. It came back inconclusive, although she scored 9th percentile for spelling and 27th for alphabet writing fluency. Keep reading with her, the psych report says, and for all of you in this room, you'll love this, as, and I quote, "Reading is a subject that can only improve with practice." The report picked up on her anxiety, and when we shared the report with the school, they were all over that. They said, "You need to help encourage Danielle that it's okay to fail. Read the book about parenting your anxious child, and for sure, enroll her in a group at the local mental health agency for social skills and anxiety." Sorry, we know there'll probably be a wait list, but that's a good move too. Throughout grade 1 and grade 2, we shared our concerns with the school, and we were always met with resistance, and I constantly felt like I was being an annoying mother. Danielle would say that the letters on the board started to look like they were moving when she would try and copy them down. I told the teacher and principal, and I said, "I think this is another signal that this is dyslexia." They said, "We've never heard of that. You should probably get her eyes checked." Danielle's been wearing glasses since she was 2.5, just like her mom, me, and she's followed by the Credit Valley ophthalmologist who assured us her vision is fine. Dictate. Every week, her dictate book, this little one right here, would come home with these unhappy faces in it and quotes, "Danielle, you need to try harder," written inside it. Imagine how that felt for a 6-year-old girl who practiced in this book day after day, writing it out over and over. We asked, "Can you offer her extra support for her spelling?" No. There were constant discussions with the principal when I shared all of this with him, and I don't know why, but he always felt like sharing that maybe he too had dyslexia. He still just was really puzzled, and maybe he had it too. I don't ever want to have that conversation again. Her classroom was filled with boisterous boys. There was a lot of yelling. There was a lot of distractions. Danielle struggled with the sound. It was too loud. She was anxious. She was sad. She could never sleep through the night. I had to fall asleep with her every night. She wouldn't go to her own bedroom or other rooms by herself. She wouldn't go on play dates. She wouldn't join different sports. And she hated after-school daycare because she was fried by the end of the day. Anyone in here who's been through this knows this is exhausting for a parent. In grade 2, we did a second private psycho-ed. Yep, you can start to imagine how much the cost is going up. The psychologist sits me down, my husband, and says, "I hate to tell you this," and I thought, finally. She said, "Your daughter is really struggling. Decoding skills are at the 6th percentile, and her pseudo-word decoding speed is at the 1st percentile. I am not the least bit surprised, and in fact, I'm a bit relieved." The report recommended 5 things, including principal presenting Danielle to IPRC, systematic instruction for Empower Reading Mastery, eye tracking assessment by an OT, a SIA grant for assistive technology, and other reading and literacy supports. I meet with the school to shift Danielle to English from May to June of grade 2. My husband's in Mongolia for work, so this is my meeting with the principal. We sit down. His response, "Are you sure? You know you can't go back to full-time French immersion." I thought, are you listening to me? My child has a severe LD. I want her to learn to read. Well, what does Danielle think about leaving French? Again, I wondered, why is this your concern? But by the way, Danielle is thrilled and finally thankful that people will help explain why this has all been so hard to her. If only Danielle could meet Zola and Kate. Let's wait until September to do an IEP, he says. Let's use May and June as a transition. Okay, fine, I give on that one. There's no need for IPRC. I'm still really surprised by this. She just doesn't seem like a child with dyslexia. Maybe it's been the French. And besides, we're not going to place her anywhere else, and no, I have not heard of Empower. But we do have a gift from heaven. For just these couple months, I have some money that came into our school. So we have LLI, direct instruction type reading. But only this spring. Next fall, it will just be HSP withdrawal. Oh, and the SIA claim, no, we save those for grade 5 students before the kids go to junior school. Besides, and for all you parents out there, here's another one you'll love. We don't want to give her a crutch too soon. I started to research other boards and knew we needed IPRC if we were going to make a move. I had to request it, and I still don't know why I had to do that. But IPRC happened in the fall of grade 3. So we go to our IPRC meeting, and we go over the I in IPRC for identification. No problem. She's identified with a reading learning disability. Then we talk about the P, the placement. The school offers our HSP, home support program. They play Scrabble when the teacher's not being pulled away for supply coverage in other rooms. I bring this folder and I ask them about Empower or Reading Mastery or other things where I've done a whole bunch of research about other boards or helping with all the other aspects that go with LD. What can you offer? They say yes. You're right, that's what she needs, and we don't have that. I put the folder on the table and I say, hey, help me understand. Where's your evidence-based instruction? You're a school board. Do you realize what other boards are offering? I go through the other boards that I've been researching. I ask them if they're familiar with the case of Moore versus British Columbia. I ask them why, as a school board, are you doing universal screening via the CCAT for gifted in grade 3 if you can't even screen, assess, or offer instruction on basic literacy to 20% of the population? They're speechless. I shook with anger and I quoted the Ontario Human Rights and I said, where is your commitment to proper education for my daughter? They said they did not have anything to offer her. I said, this is completely unacceptable. And what do I do? They directed me to speak with more senior level administration trustees, and my husband and I left in shock. When Danielle was in grade 2, I started down a research path looking to see where I could access Empower. I realized quickly it was not a school issue, this is a board issue. I found out boards such as Waterloo and Trillium Lakeland's district school board use it. I learned that Toronto Catholic had a hub and spoke model, but I needed to move Danielle to our home Catholic school first, then get her to refer over to the other hub, and by then she would be, too old for their program. I found out that Peel had hub schools that offered primary and junior communication classes to schools surrounding the hub school. So we talked with our friends in Port Credit to see if we could rent a room at their house and enroll Danielle at Peel. I met with the principal, that would be the family school if we make this move to Peel. And we explained that if we move, we know Danielle needs more support. And would the board consider reviewing her profile and see if she was a candidate for the communications class? Could she start there rather than start at the family school and then move to the hub so we could have one less transition? That principal, that woman, she changed the path for us. She said, let's check with Spec Ed, because I don't know. So we checked with Spec Ed. We had a meeting, and she said, I don't know either. Let's review her material, but I do know if this is going to work, she's going to need an IPRC report before we accept her. No promises. I said, no problem, and that's why I pushed for that IPRC meeting. It was shortly after that board meeting with IPRC at our home board that we found out that we were accepted. Danielle's new school has been a new world for us. Every morning now I take Danielle's little sister to our home school, and then I drive Danielle to the school in Peel. We carpool with another family, and that mom's here tonight after school because that family followed the same path as us for the same damn reasons. Along our journey, there's been many costs. We tried Kumon. Here it is. Worked great until the booklets take away the pictures. We enrolled in play therapy for support around anxiety and sleep issues. We tried Orton Gillingham tutoring. I've got more slime and Play-Doh covering letters than you can imagine. That one actually started to work. And most importantly, when it comes to thinking about costs that people don't see, I left my full-time job at the province. Ironically enough, I was working at the Ministry of Education. I left there to advocate and constantly research how we could help Danielle, but also to just manage the anxiety and the day-to-day exhaustion that these kids are feeling. In this tale of two boards, these boards operate side by side, the same academic calendar year. There is not one shred of evidence available to one that the other does not have access to. There is no valid and no acceptable reason why one board is so drastically different than the other. There is no reason at all that Danielle's right to read, or any other child in this room, has been violated by one and upheld by the other. Thank you for having me here tonight.
Thank you. I wondered, you mentioned how your daughter was suffering from both sort of mental health related disabilities and reading related disabilities. Have the mental health issues improved since she's gotten support in Peel, or are those being accommodated in a different way by the board?
Drastically. I don't know that there's a comorbidity. I would say that any child that's going to school every day expected to achieve at the same level and nobody gets what they're going through is going to be anxious. So, yeah.
Thanks.
So how important do you think it is for children to have access to the same level of supports regardless of which board they attend?
I think we make this a child issue, but there's a report, and I'm sure many of you maybe have seen it. If you haven't, I would encourage you to look at it, The Value of Dyslexia. And it was done by EY and made by Dyslexia, and it looks at the economics for people with dyslexia and what they're gonna add for the future workforce. We're completely missing the boat by not having equity in this system, and for parents, we should not be shopping for spec ed. I was even told by some people when I started asking questions, you're trying to shop for spec ed and you're gonna run into problems with that. We shop for our kids' shoes and healthy nutrition. If I have to shop to get my kids to be able to read, you're damn right I'm gonna shop.